Borderlands, a franchise that if it wasn't for my cousin I probably wouldn't have played. And if I'm being completely honest here, that would have been for the best. I suck at these games. Little tidbit of advice for anyone like me that's new to, well not new to Borderlands, but you know, just sucks at it. If you're gonna play these games, fucking play them. Don't just go head first into the story like I did. I know it seems easy at first. You got the Moxie weapon, you kick an ass, bulldoze level after level. Eventually that gun is going to turn into a piece of shit, just like everything else in your inventory. Then you'll wind up getting your ass kicked, and then finally, you'll consider doing a few side missions. And yes, before you ask, that is exactly how my pre-sequel playthrough went. In fact, that's how most of my playthroughs have gone. From back in the day till now. Even when I do all the side missions I can, I still get my ass kicked. So obvious question, why the bloody hell do I keep playing it? I mean, there's dozens of other games with guns that have no leveling system, no class system, no nothing. I mean, for Christ's sake, Call of Duty's right f***ing there. Why not instead of bitching about Borderlands, don't I just play that? Well, for one, that's not going too well. And for two, well, I like bitching, it's fun, alright? And for three, I wouldn't be playing these games if there wasn't a certain aspect of them that I liked. What aspect, you ask? Well, for that we're gonna have to go back a few years. Well, I mean, technically we don't have to, but for the sake of dramatic effect, enjoying the video, because there's still some shit I want to talk about, we're gonna. So let's start at the beginning, with Borderlands 1. Me, that soundtrack, hey, Jesus. Could've sworn I never once heard that in my entire Borderlands 1 playthrough, because if I did, I would've shat myself. It's the kind of thing you hear when you're walking towards a massive boss, and like as you go towards them, there's like skulls and shit everywhere from people who've tried before you. Anyway, so how did I get introduced to this franchise in the first place? Well, one day I was playing... It's probably Skate 3 or some shit. Then my cousin comes over with, well, this. Now this wasn't too much of a surprise considering he'd done this before with Saints Row. So of course we put it in the Xbox and gave it a shot. And that very shot took up that entire holiday. Hours and hours of f***ing up everything on Pandora. We killed Nine Toes, Scar, Mo and Marley, Skagzilla. By the time the holidays f***ed off, I think we were getting up to kill Crom, who contrary to Eli Roth does not look like Mouthpiece. But unfortunately the holidays ended far too quickly, as they often do, and we had to postpone killing him for another 3 months. Unless, of course, I got a hold of a copy of the game and killed him myself. Well, I mean, that was the plan originally, but, yeah, believe it or not, went to buy myself Borderlands 1, ended up getting 2. Worst part is it took me until Flint to realize it was the wrong game. It's like 2 f***ing hours in, I'd already killed like 3 different bosses I'd never seen in Borderlands 1. All of a sudden Flint pops up and I go, what? Who the f*** are you? I suppose that shows just how entranced I was by the game. I didn't even know what game I was playing, but I f***ing loved it. As it turned out, so did my cousin, because we played that shit for years. It was like the only thing we played for 3 holidays straight. I remember one holiday it even caused us to have a fallout, because I had this certain gun in my inventory and he desperately wanted it. So we get up to control core Angel, I drop it, Angel makes the floor f off and the gun goes with it. He didn't talk to me for like half an hour after that. But I mean, even when he wasn't around, Borderlands 2 basically never left the console, whether I was playing it with my brother or just by myself. I was just enveloped in the world of Pandora. The guns, the humor, the claptrap. I was obsessed. Weekends would start and end with it. At school it was pretty much the only thing on my mind. I remember one time I was getting all the characters as wallpapers, and so inevitably I got to Moxie. May or may not have skipped through a few to get to her, but that's none of your business, shut up. Anyway, on that same day I ended up giving someone else access to my laptop. That was a fun conversation. To be honest, I'm kind of glad he caught me, because I was going to go to class with that in my wallpaper folder. Could you imagine that shit? I'd never live that down. But my obsessions didn't stop there. I watched YouTube video after YouTube video. Admiral Baru Morning After Kill, Rifle Gaming, and Yodi Slayer. Fun fact, that is not how you transition from a death. Jesus Christ. Guys, this guy died. Fun fact! Fucking no. What the f***? Sorry, I'm autistic. I don't read rooms too well. Anyway, these guys actually ended up introducing me to DLCs. Because at the time, I'm pretty sure I was level 50. So I looked at them at 72 and thought, yeah, that's what I'm doing. 30 minutes later, the bar hadn't moved an inch over 50. How much fucking XP do you need for this shit? And that was the day I learned about DLCs. No shit, before this, I'd never heard of them. And not even joking, the realization was pretty much exactly like the Captain Flint realization. Took me 5 videos to go, wait, who the fuck is that? I've never fought you before, what the fuck? So I looked into it, turns out you had to pay for it. Online. Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. And no, before you ask, it wasn't because my mum was such a cheapskate bitch, she never let me have anything. No, it's because a few years before that, I used her card to buy 6 chests worth of Clash of Clans gems. Yeah, the 100 one. Don't look at me like that, I didn't fucking know, okay? Jesus Christ. Honestly though, to her credit, after losing $1,000, she was really calm. So DLCs were out of the question. Didn't mean I couldn't have my own fun. Like legendary hunting, for example. You're fucking joke. That's the Maggie. That's it. That's the Are you fucking serious? It took 1 month and my cousin coming over to get that when I was a kid. And it was a shit one. And so that was most of my Borderlands 2 experience from then on. Either hunting for legendaries or leveling up with another character so they could hunt for legendaries. All the while living vicariously through different YouTubers that had the season pass. It's right, it's like literally right in you've passed it to- BRO! Fun fact by the way, you know how Byru got the Skull Masher from Mercy one time?
You've gotta be shitting me!
Well, it just so happened that while I was farming the warrior to level up one of my characters that-
We got a Skull Masher from the flipping warrior. And here it is. The Skull Masher from the warrior. What in the honest heck?
Sorry about the colourful language, I was excited. Now I know that's not quite as cool as getting the Skull Masher from Mercy, but honestly, Mercy doesn't drop for shit. For as many times as I farmed him, he should have dropped the Skull Masher and the f***ing Infinity. But yeah, for the most part, that's how my time on Borderlands 2 was spent. Well, until I got my PS Vita at least. Which ended up giving me my first taste of online gaming. Now in my GTA video I said I met my first online friend in GTA. And I wasn't kidding. I didn't f***ing talk enough to make friends on PS Vita. It was my first time playing video games with real people. I was f***ing nervous, alright? Jesus. But one of the perks of having Borderlands on PS Vita was that not only did my cousin also have a PS Vita, so we no longer had to wait for the holidays to start in order to play together, but the motherfucker had DLCs. Yes! Now unfortunately it didn't have OPA, which, if I'm being honest, it probably wouldn't have survived long if it did. But it still did have a fair lot to offer. From memory, I'm pretty sure it had the Talk DLC, the Pirate DLC, and the level cap was raised to 61. So not too much stuff, but more than enough to f around with. And f around with it, I did. Mostly with the online part. Not even kidding, I don't think I played a single minute of my own story. I think the only part of it I actually did was Barroom Blitz, so I could get from level 56 to 61. And even then, someone else was in the game helping me get to it. I was gonna help him get there too, but he left the second I hit it. Then eventually I got bored of that character and decided to start leveling up another one. That same week, my cousin came over and we switched feeders. And while I was on his, I may or may not have sniffed around a little bit and found this particular bloke in his messages offering a boost. So I remembered the bloke's name, added him, asked him for a boost, and before I knew it, boom, level 61 Gunzerker. Best part is, I joined my cousin a day later with that same Gunzerker. He's like, how the f*** you have a level 61 Gunzerker? He was level 5 a day ago, what the f***? And from that point onward, I was exclusively a Gunzerker guy. Not even kidding, I had like 3 different setups with him. There was an Orfleet, Sham, and Logan's gun setup, which is basically, if you shoot a rocket at your feet with Logan's gun while having the Sham on, it'll count the projectiles as rockets and add rocket launcher ammo to your inventory. Well, I mean, it used to, I don't know if it still does. My other 2 setups were just conference calls and Harold, so not quite as innovative, but still worked. And that is pretty much my entire Borderlands 2 history summarized in one video. That took a month and I've still got 3 games to go. F me. Oh well, thankfully I didn't spend nearly as much time on the pre-sequel. Speaking of which... the pre-sequel. This fucking music does not match the setting I'm trying to get. Sorry, I hadn't picked a song out for the pre-sequel yet, so I just went for the one that sounded the best. Anyway, so while I didn't play the pre-sequel quite as much, it still had its own set of childhood memories. Like, for example, my first time playing Wilhelm. Ever wonder why my videos constantly have sense beeps in them? Aside from YouTube not loving swear words? Well, have a listen to this.
You little
You're in violation of the verbal space morality statute. You just got a ticket.
you.
You might find that annoying, but I laughed my fucking ass off at that as a kid. Then later on in the game, as you continue upgrading him, his voice changes into this.
Alright, that sounds pretty awesome.
Sound familiar?
You picked the wrong pathway, motherfucker!
Fairly sure that was the first time I'd ever heard the demon voice. Or the double voice, whatever you want to call it. And that's... it? That was 2 things. I played the game for like 3 months and that's all I can remember, seriously? What about... no, what the f***? I knew this section was going to be short, but I didn't know it was going to be this short. 2 things. 2 things! What the fuck? I mean, I would talk about Easter eggs and shit, but like, there's no story there. I did them, then I moved on. Pretty much speedrun. The only other thing I can think of is like, for a fair while I was obsessed with the Sentinel. Like, I just really liked its design. But aside from that, nothing. Actually, you know what? I've been trying to fit another story in here somewhere, and I mean, I don't really want to end off the pre-sequel too early, so this might just be the best place. So this happened while I was recording shit for this video. In my Zero playthrough, I got 3 legendaries, right? The Emperor, a slag grenade that I can't remember the name of, and the flak. Oh, shit, I didn't want to do that. Now, I flacked my way through pretty much every DLC, which had varying results, until I got to the fight for Sanctuary, where it just wasn't flacking it anymore. So I upgraded my arsenal and had a bit more luck. I am loving this DLC, dude, I really am. Anyway, after a few hours, I ended up making it to Cassius. And after about the 80th time of being asked to help me, I obliged. And to thank me for doing that, not only did he drop me a better version of the Flacker, but he also dropped me a better version of the exact grenade mod I was using. I then tried them both on Hector and got demolished. Moving on, I went through the pre-sequel, and aside from a skin I couldn't use, I never got a single legendary. That wasn't until I killed Shadow Trap, and Wilhelm said, "Where's my damn legendary?" And guess what fucking gun came flying out of this prick's mouth? This fucking gun followed me through games. So yeah, that was a fun week or so. Anyway, after about 3 months that I spent on the pre-sequel, that apparently I can't remember a fucking minute of, I got bored and hopped on my iPad. And while I was scrolling through the App Store one night, there was a particular game that caught my eye. Love that song. By the way, while New Tales isn't getting its own section, seeing as this series is based on nostalgia and the first time I played it was for this video, I don't want to completely leave it out because it was actually pretty fun, so I'm just going to sneak it into different parts of this section. Tales from the Borderlands. I wanted to play this on iPad, seeing as that's how I originally played it, but they got rid of it. Arshats. Anyway, Tales was probably the first Borderlands game I didn't suck shit at, because there was no leveling system, no health bars, it was just money, story, and action, all of which I adore. Plus it had a few familiar voices. Combine all that with classic Borderlands characters, humor, and guns and shit, words cannot describe how much I enjoyed this game. Especially when Handsome Jack joined the mix, which is probably why I saved the soccer thing he was attached to. So if he's in Borderlands 4, you know who to blame. In all seriousness, to this day, this game is still one of my favourite Borderlands games of all time. The characters, the ending, all of it is amazing. As for New Tales, seeing as I haven't talked about it yet, might as well give it its own little section. It's not bad, it's not Tales good, but not bad either. Definitely has the humor and the guns. Well, one gun, which is my favorite character in the whole game. And it has a pretty good story as well. But one thing I don't quite get is the ending. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't already played this, but this is a godlike being, right? So how in the name of hell does it die to a fucking wheelchair? And then it dies again to the power of fucking friendship. It's a deity. A godlike being. How the fuck? It looks like a touch from it could evaporate one of them. What the fuck? Like, see, if anyone knows how that works, please comment it. I would love to know. It makes no fucking sense to me. Anyway, Borderlands 3. Let's get into this shit, shall we? Bit dramatic for a Borderlands game, isn't it? Yeah, nah, thank High School me for that, I was going through a phase. Borderlands 3. Unlike all the other Borderlands games, I was pretty much through my teens by the time this game came out. So there isn't too much nostalgia there. All I really did was make a video on it, finish it, then went to make a guide to all the bosses on TikTok. Because for some reason, I thought Borderlands of all games was going to get me anywhere on TikTok. Then shortly after that, the Craig DLC came out and I finished that. By the way, Psycho Reaver has a ridiculous amount of health. I spent an hour trying to get that prick to half it. Then he went into his second phase and fucked me up. That was 2 hours of my life that prick took from me. And I only got 2 minutes in his vault. But ill will aside, contrary to the internet, I actually quite enjoyed this game. Now, is it as good as Borderlands 2? No, not even close. But that doesn't mean it's shit. Look, I don't know what makes a game good, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But can we just admire for a second that we hunt more than one vault in this game? We kill more than one vault monster? For the first time in Borderlands history, we're not just hunting a single vault the entire game. And along with that, original characters make a return yet again. And yet again, for the first time in Borderlands history, we have a car that doesn't get stuck on the most minor fucking incline. And the DLCs, fucking amazing. The Jack one, the Krieg one, and the Hammerlock one. The other one's alright, but I prefer when they have already established characters. Anyway, the bosses, the stories, I fucking love learning about Krieg's past. And kicking this bloke's ass. All the while slowly leveling myself up enough to be able to pretty much speedrun the story. I know, kind of a shitty way to beat the game, but I did tell you I sucked at Borderlands. So all in all, not Borderlands 2-esque, but in my opinion doesn't deserve nearly as much hate as it's getting. But I think I know where that hate's coming from. But I'm not going to talk about that because most of what needed to be said's already been said. Okay, Kevin Hart. Of all people, Dwayne Johnson would have been better. Okay, I'm done. Alright, let's look into the future. Borderlands 4. What do we all want? Obviously, I don't know. Look, I don't play this game enough to know what the community would want from it. But one thing is for certain, that I wholeheartedly agree with. Jack is dead. Alright, I don't know what Reese actually did here, and from the sounds of it, the bloke that made the game doesn't really give a shit. So let's just all collectively agree that what Reese actually did was squash that psychopathic narcissist under his foot. Therefore, getting rid of Jack forever. Jack is dead. It's time for someone new. The Calypsos were a step in the right direction. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. Let's build off of that, take in some constructive criticism from the community and see what we get. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking as if anyone's actually taken my advice, but let me finish off with this. At the start of this video, I asked why I keep playing these. Truth is, I don't fucking know. But I do. And I will. With that being said, I wish you luck, Gearbox. I believe you can make a great Borderlands 4. I believe in you, Gearbox. Good luck. And thank you.